we're kind of not, doing something a little different than the normal TDD, test-driven unit testing our code. We're going to do, I guess, just manual testing, you could call it, running it and building it and talking about different things. So let's just jump into it, I guess. And so I have a bunch of tabs here, and I'm sharing my screen, right? Yeah, you can see this.
Yeah, I got you.
So generative art example, I can maybe at the end post all of these in Slack and the chat just so you have them. But yeah, gonna maybe go through kind of fast here, and you don't have to necessarily follow along. But yeah, we're recording this all, and you can watch later. And you can always clone this project that has a bunch of different things, a sketch file and a Solidity file and the different layers. So we're going to talk about all that, but it's there just for you to use and play with, right? And so why am I even qualified to do this, right? I'm not even really a artist or NFT person, but mostly a coder, I guess. And I just made these silly squares, right? And these are Polygon NFTs that are here on OpenSea. And they have their own properties, right? They calculate the different percentage, how rare it is, kind of. And I wrote a little description there. So I don't know. Is it pointless, sort of, but is it a cool thing? Maybe, right? So it was also just like an interesting exercise in like, how do you do this as a coder, right? How do you make a collection with lots of things and give them rarities that make sense and are proportional and like how often they occur? And right, it's easy to go on OpenSea and click new and upload your image and do everything right there, but that's just like a one of one NFT, right? And when you have a collection and different rarities, it's just like something that makes it a little more interesting, right? So then I was looking at different ways of like, how do you do this? And I found this Hashlips process that I'm calling it. And Hashlips is, I guess, a guy slash YouTube or slash YouTube account slash GitHub account, right? He has this Hashlips with some different repositories here. And this art engine is a way of taking your different layers and then building, like generating the NFTs from that. The artwork, at least the artwork, and then the metadata JSON that gets all, combined together. Your smart contract and OpenSea know how to work with that metadata and images all to render the NFTs and determine who's the owner of them allows them to be all traded and listed and that kind of thing. Okay, so we'll get into that. Yeah, I showed you this YouTube video. This is a video of him, literally the guy, Hashlips, going through and showing you how to use it. And this is one I was using Pinata, right? He goes through and talks about this. And I actually do recommend using Pinata just because it's easy, right? This free plan, you can see you get 1 GB of storage. So when I did the Silly Squares Club, I only did it 250, a collection of 250 things, because mostly just because the images for it were 850 megabytes, and so I could do it all without actually giving my credit card to Pinata. So just made getting started a little bit easier. And now, so I was going to try to show you guys how and do this sort of live, the deploying a new one, which I'm calling Silly Square Summertime. And actually the Pinata is still uploading here. It's only at 35%. And if I, let's see, I think I have it. So this is my build folder, kind of skipping ahead here, but this is in my Silly Squares Summertime. And you can see this build folder is 12.7 gigabytes about, so not super huge, but kind of. So I gave my credit card to Pinata and we're uploading that stuff. And then it has this JSON. And in this one, I did 2,500 NFTs for this collection. Okay, so there's 2,500 JSON files here. If you look at, you can kind of even see it here. I double clicked this. Not sure where it's gonna open, but okay. Let's try to zoom in a little bit. Yeah, so this is just kind of the standard that OpenSea and NFTs in general have, right? Your DNA, which is kind of the unique ID, and name of it, description, your image for this, which is IPFS here. And it's this URL we're going to want to update. And I can go through that after the Pinata finishes, but there's a script in this Hashlips repository that we can use to do that easily. But basically, the image is IPFS slash, the unique ID for your specific folder, and then slash the number.png. And it has our different traits here and the value for it. Okay. Okay. So then I wanted to talk about, I guess, like going even back to our artwork, right? So in the Hashlips video there, he used Photoshop, right? He used Photoshop. I like this program Sketch because it's not an Adobe thing, but it's good for vector files. And I thought I had sketch.app. Sketch.com maybe. Yeah, I think Sketch app is their old website. But anyway, I don't think it's free, but it's a pretty good program. And then, so just where do I get the files from, right? So I like to use Creative Commons, and I have this public domain vectors, right? VecDeezy. You can also pay for some licensed artwork, right? Which is normally a little bit better quality. And I mean, there's no one really enforcing copyright and things. It's kind of the wild west of um, just things right now. But it's like if you're just blatantly ripping someone off and like putting it out there in a public immutable thing, I don't know. It seems like not the best idea to me. So for these silly squares, I just use all basically free things or things that I already had. And yeah, so here, you can just say search images and like beach scene or something, right? And you have all these beach scenes, and you can see marked with CC 2.0, which if you look at it, is just like a generic Creative Commons. Okay, in any, you can adapt it. Yeah. Cool. And so that kind of leads into, right, so I just went to this public domain vectors and I just searched woman, right? And okay, it's coming up here. Might have been on the second page. Yeah, so I found this one and I said, hey, this is kind of a cool thing, right? So then I downloaded it, and in, so, okay, so I already had this one cloned over here. This is the project, the public project that I made to just to play with, right? And if we open this, right, so this artwork, this is a sketch. I think this should be artwork.sketch, right? Because I can open this up in Sketch. And so the artboard, right, is kind of like your whole canvas to draw on, paint on, whatever, right, make things. And I was kind of looking around, looking at other collections that I liked, and I figured 3000 by 3000 is good dimensions to use for your images. And so then I, right, kind of drag this into here. Okay. Hold shift, make her a little bigger here. And then I just kind of went in and was looking for like maybe the eyes, right? We can pull these out and then bring them into a different layer, right? So just gonna delete that because I already basically did that here. And so I have all of these different backgrounds, right? And I can hide and unhide these to see them, just to look at them and see, okay, how does it look with this background, right? Chopped wood, Palm Beach. And then I pulled out the things that were the different hair color, right? So there's brown hair and blonde hair. Okay. And eye colors. So those were blue eyes. Then I made some green eyes and brown eyes. Okay. And then I just did a skin tone here, right? So medium, light, and dark. Okay. And so then I basically went in and exported just an image for each individual thing, right? And if you notice, I don't know if I can make these text here bigger, but it says light and then hash number sign 7, medium hash number sign 5. And that's used by the Hashlips engine to give it a rarity, right? So this name that you give here will just show up exactly in OpenSea as property value. And the number is the kind of rarity rank for that specific trait, right? So a lower number is more rare. And you can use spaces, right? I have autumn leaves here, 13, and that will just show up nicely. And so I would just go here, copy this, right? And then click on the artboard because you want to render for each thing. Like I could hide all the backgrounds and all the hair and all the eyes are already hidden. So then I just want to export just this 3000 by 3000 image, transparent background, and then this skin tone, right? And then I would put this in my folder here, right? I want to go back to my NFTs, generated NFTs, generative art NFTs, and in layers, this one is a skin tone, and then medium I would have here, right? So say you did some update to it, now you want to export it again. So you save it into here, skin tone, medium. Okay, it's gonna say, do you want to replace this? Sure. Okay, so this, right, you don't have to do it like this, setting up your art like this, but personally, I think it's a nice way, right? You just keep everything organized. Your high level folders here of your different traits, layers, and then in each one, you just have the different values you can have, the different properties, and then your rarity, right? You just put them right in here. And the rarity is kind of part of the design creative process, You don't have to organize them in any particular way. I kind of like to sort them by rarity, right? And you can just go through and kind of get an idea of if you like them or not. Maybe this one doesn't feel like it should be down here, so move it up and change the number, whatever. And this, right, keep in mind, you can have as many layers as you want. You can rename these, make them different things. So yeah, you can do a lot with it. So you can even take this same concept, move it into Blender and have layers of like 3D things, and make a scene of generative art like that, right? So yeah, lots of cool creative things. And what else? Okay, so then taking this stuff, right? Say you have, and I even think I do have this. If I go into my generative art here, open it up in VS Code. All right, so we have our layers, and here I have everything already nicely exported and named. The hair, right? And you can see there's more than just hair here. It's kind of just the rest of the stuff to make it work. That's not eyes and the skin, right? Some different backgrounds. Okay, so then you clone this project, and this project is pretty much the same as just the generic Hashlips art, whatever he calls it now, art generator repository. And yeah, it's changed like a few times, right? I was looking at some outdated videos where it does it slightly different now. So that can be confusing, and there's a good chance it will be different than, when you're watching it, it's going to be different from how I explain it here. So, but I think this is a pretty nice way, and all you have to do is come in here and change things in the config file, and you really don't hardly need to change anything, right? Most of this is just the same out of the box, right? Blend mode, I don't know what this is, but you don't have to change this file at all. You don't have to even look at blend mode or main.js. This is the description that you want each NFT to have. This thing, we don't necessarily care about right now. This we want to set after we upload our images into Pinata. Okay. So this here is where you say how many things you want in your collection, how many editions, right, the size, and then you put the different layers here. So background, we want to have background, then the skin, then the eyes, then the hair. Okay. So I have the layers like this, 3000 by 3000 images. This, I haven't even tried changing this. This was just what was there by default, right? The rarity delimiter, we're using these hash signs, and that's just the default thing from Hashlips. this unique DNA torrents, I think, is like it makes sure that you won't get a duplicate until there's at least 10,000 unique ones, right? So this just kind of enforces if they're unique. And you can see sometimes if you don't have a lot of options and you run the builder, it will say, got a duplicate, skipping this one, you know, it'll keep doing that until it gets a unique one, and then it will save it. So you can do that just because it's pretty cool to see. So you cloned this, right? I have a what NVMRC that just says it will work if you use that version 14. So we'll change to that version here. Then you can do npmi to just install the different things that are here in package.json, which is not much, but some stuff. And then I forget if I added these scripts or if they were there, but there's the script build. Okay. So here, there's some things in here. Let's just delete these folders. Okay. So here we just have these separate images, right? And we want to start generating things. So we could say npm run build. And it says here, create edition 1, created 2, right? And we can even, I like to open this in Finder. We can just go in here and see it, right? As it's making new things, and it's just generating these different woman faces, right? Based on the images that we passed in, right? So that's pretty cool. And it will keep going until it gets to the number that I set in there. So I think I had 50 there, but yeah, kind of get the idea. So it's generating those, and then it's generating these JSON files too. And yeah, so that's pretty awesome, right? It's easy. You just drop your layers in and run the command, and then it generates everything for you. So, and what else? Okay, we have that. Yeah, and then this is just of the silly squares run, right? So you can see for this one, I have a pretty lot. I have maybe like 30 to 50 of each thing, right? Some hats here. And yeah, the same kind of thing, right? It's, I guess, is like the most rare one, right? But yeah. Oh, okay. I hit save. Yeah, it's kind of heavy just because it's like so many files, but all right, saving. That's good. And so let's check back on this pinata. Okay, this is only 50% there. So yeah, I guess I could show you guys maybe loading in the contract into Remix, right? So say you're done all this Pinata stuff, uploaded it. You have now the IPFS link to your metadata files. So then in the Hashlips video, he just goes into Remix, right? Remix.ethereum.org. And, I like the command line and everything, but honestly, Remix is it just like makes it kind of very simple and easy. So he has some contracts here. Sorry, let me go back to the Hashlips. And if you go to repositories here, these Solidity smart contracts, okay? This is what he does in the video. He just copies it and pastes it in just as is, right? Which is basically what we're gonna do too. And right, I think honestly, this is even the same as what I have here, which I'm calling Hashlips NFT, right? Just make sure that's not in the diff here. Okay. Okay, it is slightly different because right here, the cost, this is how much it costs someone to mint one of your NFTs. This contract. Okay, so I changed to 0.02 and yeah, that's fine, I guess. This one, I guess to keep it consistent with the example here, I'm just gonna say 50, right? You're probably gonna want to do more than 50, but maybe not. Max mint amount is how many can you mint at one time, right? So the mint function, and that's a key thing of this Hashlips. Let me get out of this diff view. So he has this internal function that just returns the URI, right? When you are constructing this, deploying this, basically you pass in the name, a symbol, kind of like a ticker token symbol, and then the initial base URI, right? And that would be your the link that you get from Pinata for your IPFS going to your metadata there. Okay. And so we have our mint function. This is interesting, right? Because it's using ERC 721 enumerable, meaning that you mint one and they just increment, right? That's the enumeration there. Ownable, meaning that you have your owner, right? The address that deployed the contract. Okay. And so mint, I don't think I can jump into this, right? But let's just maybe open this. This is coming from OpenZeppelin contracts, right? So I just search like Google or GitHub, OpenZeppelin enumerable. Okay. And then we can jump to it here. So, right, this one inherits then from the base ERC 721 and has things like total supply, transferring functions, right? Is there mint? Yeah, mint is probably on ERC 721, but I'm pretty sure this is a private internal function. And so this Hashlips contract basically gives us some logic here where, okay, so mint takes the address that you want to mint it to and the amount, right? And it's a payable function, right? That's important too. So it will check if the sender is the owner, right? And basically it will only if the sender is not the owner, we're going to require that they sent this metrics.value is like the amount of ether they sent with the transaction. So if that's not at least the cost of each one times the amount that you want to mint, then it will just revert and not go through, right? But if you are the owner, then it's just going to skip over this whole block, right? You can just call this, not send any ether to it and only pay gas and just mint them to anyone. So that's pretty cool. And then it loops over these, right? It does a for loop, which is like generally not a great practice in Solidity, but we're, we're only doing it up to 20 max. So it's not so bad. And then we'd need to, we need to call safe mint on each one of these. And this is our internal function there that can then do the minting. Okay, and then after that, if it goes through successfully, then that user should be able to see that they own this, and it kind of just magically appears in OpenSea. I guess they do some like scraping of the Polygon blockchain and just add it instantly as soon as it's there, which is pretty cool. Yeah. So going back to, like say we have our project here. So in contracts, I could just make a new one and call this Silly Square Summertime. That's all. Right, the name of this doesn't matter a whole lot because this is just the name of your file, right? We're going to set the other names later. So I'm just going to copy this, paste it in here. And the reason why I like to have it in here is because you sort of need to recompile this each time you want to run commands against this, right? So let me just show you and then it will maybe make more sense. So I have this code here, right, for our NFT. And we can click here and compiler, right? This compiler is fine. So I'm going to change this contract to NFT, compile. Okay. Silly squares, summertime. And this is a key thing, right? If you want the ABI, maybe you're building a front end or something, you can just copy this here and then drop it into a JSON file. And I actually set up a cool thing that I want to look at in a little bit, but yeah, let's go through this first. Okay, so we compiled it here. Then we go here and say injected Web3, right? This kind of just means use my MetaMask that we have here. And so we have our mainnet here, and then I can go in and change this to Polygon, right? And I have Submatic here. And Interesting. Okay. And so this is Lazy Lions, right? Just an example of a different NFT collection type thing, right? They have this little one-page thing, and then I have rewards, where this you can connect your MetaMask to a dApp, right? And it's just like another cool thing to do with your NFTs, different reasons to own them. And I was just gonna say, like, the hardest thing about this was just like getting the actual Matic token and like into the right place and deploying it. So here, well, back on Remix, right? You can change this to any of your different networks. Rinkeby actually. So, and this is in the video Hashlips, right? He goes through and does an example of doing all this, and you just say deploy. So here, choose the contract that you want to deploy, and then in our constructor here, right? This you want to pass these things in, the name, symbol, and IPFS URL. Then you hit transact, and it will open up MetaMask. Say, do you want to deploy this contract? And when it does, it's it's there. And then you're done. So I really wanted to show you guys that, but it seems like it's going to take a long time. So, but another cool thing is just like opening up a contract that you deployed, right? So if I go to the Silly Squares Club, you can see that all of these silly squares are tokens with the same contract address, right? So, and even in my MetaMask, I think because I've been doing so much with them, so they're on Polygon, right? If I change to Polygon here, maybe if I change to mainnet, no, I was thinking, I thought it came up in, I mean, you can add the token, but for some reason I thought it added it on its own. I guess not. But we can see also just on Polyscan, right? This is like the Polygon version of Etherscan. And this is our contract of the NFT, the current Silly Squares Club, right? And you can see all these are minting, things being minted, called from this user, which is me. And this is where it's going to, right? And they all cost this amount of Matic, which is like such a small amount, literally maybe, well, it costs, I think, 0.02 to deploy it, 0.02 Matic, which each Matic is just a little bit more than $1, right? So that's 2 cents. And yeah, 2 or 3 cents. And then to mint 20 of them after that was 0.005 Matic. So that's, what, a quarter of a cent. So that's pretty awesome, right? You can see that I think I moved 60 Matic in here, and I still have 59.76, right? And so how do you do that, right? Well, I had a Gemini account, right? You might have Coinbase or something that's actually like linked to your bank or whatever, that you can actually buy the Matic in the first place. And you're probably going to buy a Matic that's on the Ethereum network, right? So then I withdraw from Gemini to my public address here. And you notice that any network that you go to, you always have the same public address, right? So that doesn't matter. So you withdraw from Gemini to your public address, and then you should see the Matic when you go here to Ethereum mainnet, right? Then you have to go to some kind of bridge. I mean, I like to use the Polygon Bridge here because it's like, okay, officially by the Polygon people. So you expect it to at least work, right? Hopefully be good. But you can see your things that are on Polygon network, right? I have some Decentraland, Mana, and just Ether here, and Matic. And then you basically need to go click on this, which brings you over to the bridge. And this was kind of the most expensive part, right? And this is what sucks about Ethereum is that the gas for mainnet Ethereum is so expensive. And Gemini will basically, eat the cost of them sending you Matic on mainnet, but it's still costing them money to do that, right? And if you just constantly do withdrawals, they'll eventually say, hey, you only get so many withdrawals, you need to pay for this now. Well, per month, something like that. But I was just going to not actually do something, but maybe see. So Matic token, right? So I actually have 100 Matic on Ethereum network just to kind of show you guys, like if I was to do this, then, oops. So switching. I just switched from Polygon back to Ethereum, which I don't want to do. I want to go Ethereum to Polygon and then hit this transfer. Okay, doing something here and you continue. And you hit continue, okay. And it's saying estimated transaction fee 0. Yeah, estimated transaction fee 25. Okay, so I think the first time you do that first one, it only needs to be like approved once to kind of enable transferring of that thing on your address. So that's why it was 0 here. This one it's asking me for $25, which, 25 to move 100 Matic is kind of a lot, right? So I'm gonna X that out. And let's say, right, you really only need what, 2 Matic in order to actually start doing stuff. So if you wanted to transfer that, you can see it's still $22 just to transfer, which is like kind of stupid, but that's just how Ethereum is. Okay, so yeah, Polygon. And just going back to like, why am I using Polygon in the first place? If you go to, or like, say you buy into the fact, okay, Ethereum mainnet sucks ass, right? Like, sorry, but just does, at least right now. So given that you don't want to use that, what's the next best thing, right? And if we just kind of explore and say chains, it's basically Ethereum, Polygon, or Clayton, which I don't even really know what Clayton is, but that's the thing. There's also like Palm Network and a bunch of random things, but Polygon, I mean, I like to use OpenSea, and Polygon is supported nicely on OpenSea, right? Other things like Z.Run, is another online NFT based game. Everything there is on Polygon, and the Z.Run horses are actually Polygon NFTs, right? Decentraland, which we've been talking about, the we've more been talking about like the building things, right? The builder and like building on land, right? Which is awesome. But the NFTs are more of like the land itself and wearables, and those are all. It's interesting because it started as mainnet Ethereum things, right? This game started in like 2017 before Polygon was even a thing. But recently, maybe, I don't know, 6 months ago or so, they started where like all the new wearables that are minted as Polygon NFTs, right? And you don't have to pay gas anymore to trade things. So it's pretty awesome. Yeah. Okay, so I go to here and I go to one of my, right, these all have the same address, but I just want to grab the address. So that's in details here, right? Polygon blockchain, it's ERC721 NFT, and this is ID 130 in our collection, right? And so I'm gonna copy this, right? And so this, and if I go back to Remix, right? And here I was thinking like, okay, well, what if I don't want to mint everything all at once? I just want to be able to like open it up later, and you can do that, right? So I don't want to deploy this, see how, or you can get the thing at an address. So I'm gonna paste this in my address, make sure I'm on the Polygon network here, or else it won't find that contract because it's not deployed on Rickety at that address. Right, so click this, no errors, right? It just opens up this thing, and now it nicely uses the ABI and everything to show you these are all the different functions that I have. So I can see like a good one is total supply, right? And this just gives you the number of tokens that have been minted. And if you want to see the total that are possible to be minted, that's this max supply, right? I can get the name, the owner, address, right? I can get whether someone is a owner of a specific token. What else? The costs, right? This is something that we put in there of the cost of each thing that we want to mint. Balance, if I put in my address here, and then say, what's my balance? Then I can see 56, right? And let's say I want to mint some to myself, right? Let's say 5 maybe. So I can hit transact. Remember, this is like actually happening on Polygon for real. And it's costing us a whopping 0.00069 Matic. Okay, so I'm gonna confirm this, and it's not necessarily super fast, right? And sometimes it's slower than others too, but kind of depends on just the network, right? Just want to kind of have that open there. Also, sometimes it doesn't always update immediately when this goes through, but maybe just we can see. Okay, so yeah, it went through there pretty quick. And so now if we go to say the max, or max supply should be the same, right? But total supply now should be 5 more than 131. right? So if we click this, then it changes to 136. Cool. And yeah, still haven't even minted half of these yet. So if anybody wants one, put your public address here and I'll give you some. And yeah, so you can just load up your contract anytime, mint more to your friends, or if you want to do airdrops, or even trying to get back to the remix. Zoom thing keeps getting in the way here. I'm just going to close this out. Close some of these things out. Check the Pinata. It's at 60%. Okay, we're getting there. Still got some things too. Stalling. Upwork, right? What did I want to say about Upwork? I guess just like if you don't want to do the artwork yourself, Upwork is a cool thing to find freelancers or people. If you're lucky, you could find some like super talented guy in Romania to build an entire game's worth of artwork for a couple $100, right? And have it be nice quality. But it's still like work, just managing the work, right? So keep that in mind, but Upwork is cool. And we have these public vectors, use open source stuff like this, right? The Hashlips engine. Okay, here's another thing that I built that's pretty cool. Okay, in going back to this, right, project that we cloned, right? If we see what's here, and okay, I don't think I added this here yet. So I had Silly Square's site, right? And this, right, getting into like the different things that you can do, right? Connecting your NFT to a website, having it recognized if the person on the website owns some of your NFTs, maybe having a mint button. There was some weird babies thing on Discord. Right, I have all these people spamming me. Yeah, baby boomers, right? And so trying to go to like OpenSea. Because I had a website. Maybe this one. Visit drop. Okay, so baby boomer NFT. And oh, that's funny. Maybe they have a game too. And if we say play now, huh? That's interesting actually, because before I came here and it was kind of just like a button that said mint and you could click on it and mint things, but I don't really know what this is now. This is the soon page. It just brings you to the soon page. Okay. Anyway, that's a new thing. I guess it's happening soon. But I was getting distracted. Okay, so I was really just looking for an example and I can show you this. Maybe open it over here. And I really wanted to have this in that repository. Wait. Oh no, I cloned. Okay, I did not want to do that. I cloned this in the other one. Just gonna delete that. Back up into here and then clone this again. Oh, that brought me back to the root. Okay. Okay, so open this up. And I kind of wanted to, right? Okay, so if you look at what we have here, right, it's just an app.js. And yeah, I could probably copy this into the project here. But if you just maybe go to version 14, it's just my default one that I like. Install dependencies. So this is a React project. And I forget, yeah, nice resume. React nice resume is where I got this from. And I was kind of just looking for, just any one pager React app. This is kind of what it looks like. If I go try to build the right URL here. Okay. Maybe github.com. Okay. Yeah, so this is the repo. I just basically copied this and then installed Ether.js. And it's like, okay, how can I connect to my NFT here? So this is still installing. So just looking at what we have here, right? These are a bunch of dependencies for React things. And then you can see we have ethers also. It's just our generic create React app scripts. And some testing stuff. Index.js that just renders our app. And then in app, you can see this, right? I'm importing the Silly Squares API. And remember back here on the compile page, you can grab this API as copied. And I just pasted it. I just made this folder contract APIs, and you can just name this whatever, and then paste this in here. Okay. Then, wait, why is this different? I think it's just the spacing. I'm just gonna revert this. But yeah, you can get your API, paste it in here, because when you, so I'm just doing this in app.js, right? It's kind of messy, but it works actually. So these were just things that came with the template that I haven't deleted yet, right? This silly squares contract is like a reference to the contract itself so that I can use that later when we call the click button. Signer is kind of just an instance of the signer, the account that's signing messages. Their current address, the contract owner address, right? Because we want it to do different things. If it's the owner, then we can just call our mint function without paying any ether to it. But if we're not the owner, then we need to send some ether to it, or else it's just going to error for the user and they're going to be confused and mad. But if we're the owner, we don't necessarily want to send ether. I think it will accept it, but it's like, why put extra ether into your contract when you don't need to? And silly square balance, right? So how many silly squares do you own? And then the cost to mint in ether, cost to int in way. I just say this as two different variables. So it's easy. Maybe you want to display one and then actually call your function with the other one, right? These things are just things from the template. I don't even know what they really do exactly. And let me just start this so that you can see some of this. So let's see what network I'm on here. So it's loading up. Localhost 3000. Still starting the server. And here you can see also, right, this one I was just minting 2,500 of these ones. And yeah, took about 2 hours and 13 gigabytes, but it went through, generate everything. So that's cool. And okay, I really just changed this title and kind of left everything else just there. And one of the things, it'd be cool to have people help out on this and make it just like an open source generic NFT dApp that has, so here, if I inspect, right, it's actually using, I'm just basically hard coding the contract address of the Silly Squares Club, right? Because this, we can't change this even if we wanted to. It's always going to be this 04A2 blah blah FF8. So I just pasted that into here, right? Literally have this constant Silly Squares Club address. And then I'm saying new ethers contract and passing in that address. This is where the ABI comes in, right? We pass that as our second parameter. And then this provider, which I'm just getting from here, ethers providers, Web3 provider, and we can just pass in this window.ethereum, which MetaMask knows to open up and do its thing there. Okay. This is to get my address, right? So just get this out of the way, maybe try to make it so you can see everything a little bit. So if I have the console, right? Nothing is actually showing and displaying dynamically. It's really just writing to the console. But from this, the console is like a proof of concept, and you can take this now and do a lot cooler things. So I'm just going to close this, right? Everything is happening in this app.js file. And so I'm logging this signer, and right, I'm using these curly braces to say log an object where property is signer, and then the value is this variable signer address, So this is kind of just a shorthand thing. It all shows up as object here, but if I expand this, then we can see signer address. And now this address here is the same as my address here that I have, right? And so then I'm also setting this to the state, right? This is a React thing of just save this to my component state so that I can use it in other places of the component. Okay, so then we make a variable that's actually this instance of our contract, okay? Because we want to call functions on that silly squares contract. And then I'm setting the state again, just so that we can use it later. Logging this out, we can see the contract, and then you can get the whole binary interface, all the functions you can call here. So that's pretty cool. Then I'm getting this, right? Silly square balance. So calling this balance of function on the contract. And this is a promise. So we need to await that. And the return value of this promise, the resolve value, I guess I should say, right, is a big number. So then in order to actually read this nicely in here, I'm converting this to a regular JavaScript number with this. Okay, so that's, yeah, kind of confusing and lots of parentheses, but that's what's happening here. Okay, so then I log this silly square balance and it shows 61, right? So we're getting this value 61. We can save this into our React state. And now if you're a React developer, you should be like, okay, this is perfect. Now we can just show any component or page or API call or whatever based on if your balance is greater than 0, you know? And then I'm getting the cost, right? This is what we were saying, this is the contract owner address here. Okay, then the mint cost. And interesting. It seems like it's not exactly working, this cost object. And it could be that the internal, try again after some time. Okay. Interesting. Okay. And then, so this mint tokens, right? I just have a button kind of just jammed in here, right? You would normally put this somewhere within the header or some other page here, but I just have this button here in between this header and about section, where when you click on it, it's calling the mint tokens function just with the number 2, you know? You can get fancier, put like an input, text input here, and have them enter a number between 1 and 20. That would be cool. And then you just have something that says it costs X amount per thing that you mint, and you can mint up to 20 of them, right? And you can get that cost. We're getting that cost dynamically here, so that shouldn't be too bad. And so if I click on this, right, it opens this up. It's calling with a value of 0 because I am the owner. And I think I should be able to do that and just mint from here. Okay, yeah, and that went through, so that's cool. And if I refresh this, then I can get my total now is 63. And so we're getting this mint cost is 0.02. Yeah, not sure why we're getting errors there, but cool. And so we can mint that. And let's say I change to a different account, right? An account that's not the owner. And sorry, I don't have anything else that's on the actual Polygon network that has real Matic in it. So, but you can actually see when you call this, oh, sorry. So that's kind of weird, right? Because I didn't refresh. Everything was still loaded up with the owner in here. And we're getting a message that reverted because it was called by, I guess, does it tell you why? It doesn't say why, but I mean, it was reverted because you didn't pay enough ether with it, right? So let's try to refresh this. So now my silly square balance for this account is 0, right? It's pulling in that address here. Mint cost is still 0.02. So if I try to click mint here, then I should, okay, so here, if you look closely at this error, right? It's saying insufficient funds for gas times price plus value. Okay, so we want to mint to this, or this is the address trying to call the function. It has 0, and we want this much, right? Which is basically 2 times our gas price per minting in way. And then at the end, it's saying wants that for whatever number, and then supplied gas 10388, which is like in way units of Matic. So it's trying to charge the right amount is what I'm seeing here, and we just don't have it. So it's reverting, which is, I guess, the correct behavior, right? So that's pretty cool though, just right, so that we can make a web page, hook into your NFTs, show exclusive content, and allow people to mint things. Yeah, cool. So yeah, I haven't been looking at the chat really. I don't know if anyone has questions, or feel free to jump in and ask things. So Peter is asking, if you use Polygon network, will NFT be priced in Matic tokens or ETH? And it's also, you know, that's actually a good question. And if you came here and called this with another user who isn't the owner, but I'm pretty sure actually that this is Matic tokens that it's referring to when it says 4 and this many. It's either Matic tokens on Polygon or it's wrapped ether on Polygon, right? And if you go to OpenSea, see, it's also like minting it is one thing, but then listing on OpenSea is something else, right? So we can, this one's owned by me. So if I click sell here, then I can list it for Ether. I can also list it for DAI, or I can list it for USDC, right? I can list this for 50 DAI. You pay an OpenSea royalty of 2.5%. And I actually created this creator royalty of 1%, right? And so you just click this. It's not even really saying anything about gas. So I'll switch to this account where I actually have some. This is the account that owns it, right? So my balance here, and my balance is mostly the same, maybe a little bit less, but it's like 0.00 something Matic. And so I listed this one in DAI on Polygon, right? So here you have the ability to list it for different prices. In your contract and minting it, you kind of don't really see this is 0.02 Ether, but that could just be saying Ether, which is like the word for a number of units, you know, way times 10 to the 16 power, right? And your way could be referring to units of Matic or Ether. Okay, what else did I want to talk about? We could even 76%. Man, this is still gonna go for a while. I can let you guys know though when I'm done uploading these, where we could even have some type of after party thing. We can join back in when it's done.
That's cool too. I like either way. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Let me check in the chat, see if there's any more. Yep, they meet up things. Texas Farmer posted his link. Right. So
Oh yeah.
I'm just trying to get back to remakes here. Okay. All right, so here is an example of me minting. So I'm putting in Ken's address here, 5, and then I say transact. And because I'm the owner, I don't have to pay the cost. I just pay the gas. Okay, so I'm gonna confirm that. It's going, and yeah, sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's fast. It's kind of hit or miss, but when it's fast and it's really cheap gas, it's like, wow, this is pretty nice. Okay, Peter, it's asking, yeah. How do the NFTs generated mint programmatically get automatically added to your OpenSea collection? So on, yeah, it's, so the output of the Hashlips, right, is your metadata and, right, and there's like a little bit of magic here. Sorry, this is the website repository. I'm looking for the generated art. Okay, so the build output is your Hashlips output, right? These are all your JSON files, metadata files, and image files. Okay, so you take those, upload them to Pinata, right? You upload the images to Pinata, then you get a URL that you plug into your config, plug that into here, and then you run the package JSON. So I added a script. He says to just run this command, but you run node utils update base URI. And that will put that URI in for all of your JSON files here, right? Then you take the JSON. So yeah, first you just upload the image files, get the URI from that, upload all the JSON files. Then you upload these into Pinata. then you get a different IPFS URI from that. That one you then put in here. Remember when we deploy the smart contract, we add this base URI, and that will be like IPFS something something blah, a bunch of letters, and then a slash at the end, right? He says that's important. Don't forget the slash at the end, right? And then you do that and it's just deployed, right? So now it's out there. So now you just need to mint some NFTs. And pretty much when you mint the NFTs, they just magically appear in OpenSea, right? I didn't need to go in and like tell OpenSea that my thing exists or add it to some registry or whatever. It just like immediately after the transaction went through, I went to OpenSea and I started populating there, right? And so if I see like how many do we have now? 143. So if I go here and try to look for, say, 143, right? Or I could even sort by newest, maybe? Sort by oldest, not newest. All right, so I'm scrolling, reloading. So someone would say just like the icon, silly squares, right? I remember George had one that was like not showing. And I was like, yeah, just don't worry about it. Eventually, OpenSea will fix it. And you can also go in, you can click on this, and this button here is refresh metadata, right? So if you click that, then it's will maybe open or start to work, show the right stuff. But yeah. Jeff asks, is it possible to accept another ERC20 instead of Ether for payment of minting? And I would say if you wanted to do that, you would have to basically come in here and change this mint function, So in theory, yes, you can. Is it worth it? Like, maybe. But yeah. Yeah. And definitely check out I'll post some of these links in the chat in the Slack so that they're there. Yeah, it's still gonna be a while. Lots of images. But it's also just interesting to think about like what are some other just different things to do with your NFTs, right? Connecting. I'm saying if you look here, right? Began as a silly idea, but now it's one of the hottest clubs in existence, right? Where we're saying exclusive content on our website coming soon. 3 hours of awesomeness consulting, right? Broken up into 6 sessions. We have our Discord, where you can go and troll each other. And free access to the Silly Squares Club lounges and nightclubs in New York City, Miami, and Los Angeles. Coming soon. Bragging rights that you own one of the Silly Squares. And another really interesting thing, some of them, I think the Lazy Lions, part of the club is that the transaction royalty fee is 4%, and they take 2% of that. Well, they take half of that, right? 2% fee, and distribute it every month to holders of the NFTs. You know, kind of an interesting idea, and it just makes it a little bit just another perk. You know, just keep throwing out perks until it's not stupid anymore, right? Like had always just talk trash that it's like just an image in a cloud. Why is it worth anything? You know, and it's like, well, yeah, it's kind of not, but if you can create them, it's just a cool thing to build. And yeah, maybe someone will think that it's not totally stupid and actually buy it. And if, yeah, if you have enough perks and people are actually benefiting from it, then it's like, wow, you actually made this cool community of awesome things and not just like some random images on the internet, even though that's kind of part of it. Yeah. And so I also wanted to just show like the OpenSea page. So if I go to my collections, then this silly squares comes up, right? And if I go on this and hit edit, I think it opens, yeah, it opens like a MetaMask thing that where you need to sign this. And they are basically checking that you're the owner of this contract. And then when it comes through there, then this loads and you get the ability to edit things, right? The name, we can put some markdown for our description there, some links out to other sites. And then this is pretty interesting, right? If you notice, there is no reference to royalty, anything in our smart contract. I think if you if we look at this Hashlips, right, he's been adding a bunch of different, you can see these smart contracts were updated, what, 7 hours ago, right? It would be awesome to have him here actually do like interview or whatever or something. The reveal ones, right? I don't know if you guys have heard about that, like vampires or like eggs, right? Say you give everyone mints a dinosaur egg or whatever, and then you do the reveal afterwards, and then it turns into, you know, a dinosaur or whatever, right? Just kind of another cool thing you can do. Yeah, something with commissions in here, right? I just went with the basic NFT here because I like to just keep it simple, right? I really only cared about this mint function and I liked it, so I did that. And I guess this withdraw, right? People will buy the NFTs and money will go into the contract, and then you need to withdraw this to pull it back out to your owner address. And what else? Just creeping along here, man. This is, setting up MetaMask for Polygon, right? When you download MetaMask, you're not going to have Polygon or this Matic Mumbai is like the test net for Polygon. But this page is showing how to do that. So they go through from the beginning, installing MetaMask, setting up your wallet, and you go to custom RPC here. right? And then you can call it whatever you want. Polygon probably would make sense. And you can see this. Any of these should work. Probably this first one is what you'd want to put in for this RPC URL 137. Matic here as a symbol, and then the block explorer there, right? And then you'd hit save, and it would add in there into your list of different networks, right? And you can do a similar thing for the test net too. Yeah.
You got a link to that Medium right there?
Which one?
The Medium article you were just at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This into the chat here. Jeff is saying, is it possible to build royalty into smart contracts and make them portable? So I haven't really looked at it, but I would say look into this full commission, right? Commissions is payable to this address. And so this is the mint function. Not sure if there's anything on transfer, because this commission to me looks like it's only happening in the mint function here. So I'm not seeing what exactly difference is between this and the other one. Or actually, yeah, sorry, no. This one, so the other one was just not charging the owner, right? This one is actually giving the commission. And it's like when you're minting, I mean, when you're minting, I guess for me, like the creator of the artwork and the creator of the NFT, I guess in theory they could be separate people, and the amount, the sale amount goes to one person, and then the commission goes to someone else. Right. So I guess the contract owner would manage that and withdraw the funds from the contract. And you could say that the creator gets this commission and 50% or whatever you could put it at. I think this is a well, it's just an address. Let's see, like a commission amount. Yeah, interesting.
Jeff had another question. Did you see it? I think.
Smart contracts would enforce the commission payment even if selling platform does not support commission. I mean, this seems like it's only working on the mint, right? So if you're talking about like selling it later, I'm thinking that probably calls transfer, either like safe transfer or transfer from. And I don't see anything on here enforcing commission of that. So I would say probably not. Yeah. But I mean, personally, I'm not really worried about that. Everyone uses OpenSea, and it's like most of the other marketplaces kind of work with their commissions and pay them. So, but it's interesting, right? And you can see on OpenSea here. So if I click on this royalties button, right, and you can see kind of the history of people who actually bought things through OpenSea and then the fees earned through that. So that's pretty cool. And I guess you can go on Polygon scan and see if people are, you know, transferring them or doing things outside of OpenSea. But it's like if people just want to transfer them to each other, then you're not going to get any commission anyway because there's no cost, you know? So you should, personally, I think it's fine to just let them be able to transfer NFTs and not pay any royalty. And I guess it's kind of similar to, you know, they go to some other place and they want to sell their NFT. I mean, that place also has to not charge a commission, you know, like say I'm charging 1% and OpenSea charges 3%, or OpenSea charges 2.5%, sorry. So like the amount that you're saving, you know, like if the other thing that doesn't exist is charging 5% commission, then it's not actually, you know, even if they get around the commission, they're still like paying more than they need to if they had just sold it on OpenSea, right? And yeah, something to think about, definitely, but I didn't really, like, I'm not that concerned with enforcing the royalty in the smart contract because it's like anything is just bonus money anyway, you know? So, okay. So this is still going. I think, I don't know, this might be a good time to take a break unless there's any more questions. Okay, welcome back, everybody. This is part 2 of the Generative Art NFT workshop, right? Um, the Pinata, right? We were waiting for that for hours, it seemed like. And the images, right? They are finally uploaded here. I took this CID, pasted that then in, not in here, but in the config. Okay, so you paste it in here. That's the same thing here. And then we ran the update script Oh, sorry, this is the wrong show. In the summer, this one, update URI. And that was kind of a command that I added to this package JSON. This is just calling node and then the file update base URI. So this again is like a thing from the Hashlips dude. He created this, and this works with the build output of here to update these image paths. And if you watch the video of him explaining it, it will maybe make more sense. But this, you want these to point to the right URL of image so that you can upload them all to Pinata, right? I then clicked this upload again, the folder, and chose this JSON folder. And that uploaded really quick. You can see this is only 3.2 megabytes and the images were 12.7 gigabytes, right? So they were pretty huge. And we got the paid Pinata version, so we can do that now. So we're here. Okay, we're getting close, right? We went through all the stuff already of going to our Matic bridge, getting our Matic into our wallet. And so now I'm here on Remix, right? We compiled our smart contract that says we want to mint 2,500 of them. The cost to, well, the total supply is 2,500, right? That can be minted. We're not minting any upfront, really. We're just deploying the contract first. And each one to mint it, if you're not the owner, is 0.008 Ether. And so we got everything here. Objective Web 3. I'm on the Polygon network. I have plenty of Matic in here. So let's call this Silly Squares Summertime. And normally we do just like all caps, underscores, right? So this name is like the thing that shows up in OpenSea as just the name. Like the name here, I guess, is the name. And this you can kind of come and edit later, so it doesn't matter a whole lot. I mean, if people see it in your contract, but they see something else here. This one, it also shows up. When you first buy it, when you first go to buy it, like if I try to go to one that I don't own, like one that I can buy. And is there anything that says I own this? Maybe one of the later ones here. All of these are owned by me. Okay. $12 owners, maybe I could say. Okay. So Crypto Fox bought one of these. And his wallet is filled with all these bunnies. So I'm gonna search his thing for the word silly. Okay, so now I can find this silly square. And so here's where I see, okay, the name, Silly Squares Club. And if I click on this, it takes me to here. So I don't really know what I'm just trying to figure out what I should put for this. I normally just do this. Name has spaces and is regular like Pascal case, capitals in the beginning. And then symbol is all caps with underscores. And here we have IPFS : / right? 2 slashes. And we want our Pinata JSON. Okay. And I remember Hashlips guy saying, make sure you have the slash at the end. Okay. QM UK something. Okay. We have our silly squares contract here, summertime. So if I click transact, then a MetaMask pop-up comes up. It's going to cost us what, like a cent to deploy this? So let's do it. And then we can click on this and see that it's pending. The other ones were really quick. I don't know how long this will take, but it could take up to a long time. And if anybody has questions, you can jump in or post in the chat. We're just waiting. Okay. And it deployed. Yeah. So I think we did it, guys. Let's just copy my account here and come down here. So this was the deployed contract now. Let's just take this one because, I mean, you can probably just recompile any contract, but it likes to have some NFT thing here, and I like to have exactly the same contract. So I just like to save this into my Solidity file, Silly Squares, and I'm gonna call this Silly Square Summertime NFT, right? Because this is like the summertime edition of my NFTs now, with the max supply and the costs that I put in. So I'm just gonna save that, and then whenever I feel like coming back to this and minting more or checking whatever, then I can take this, paste it in Remix, and put in the actual address there, and then pull up all these different buttons to interact with the different functions of the smart contract. Okay. So you can see maybe the max supply, right? This should be 2,500, and total supply 20. Oh, okay. I think it mints 20 when you first deploy it, right? So if I go to my profile, you can see I didn't have to do anything. These things just appear here. 20, 19, 18. So all 20 of these just got minted to my profile. And you'll notice, yeah, like they're just a picture of an image, not the actual image. And if we say token URI, so we want to pass in the token ID. NFT. Token by index. So let's see, what's the token at index 1? Okay, it's 2. Index 2 is 3. Okay. So let's pass in 2 for this. Okay, so it's saying IPFS /2/JSON. That looks right to me. It's definitely possible that OpenSea just takes a while to get this metadata loaded in. But we do have these NFTs here. We have Silly Square Summertime, right? If that's still not working in like an hour or tomorrow or something, we can always come in here and set the URI to something else if we messed up something in Pinata, but I would give it at least a couple hours. And because this happened for the original Silly Squares too, I was getting kind of worried, but now they all work fine, right? I didn't need to update anything. And I did these the exact same way. The URLs seem okay, so kind of anticlimactic to have just pictures of gray things, but here's one. Silly Square Summertime, right? This guy. Silly Square in the summertime. Properties, it has a wheat field background, vintage man face, 3 dollops of green stuff is the hat, and whoops, and the square is crinkled paper, right? And these are new traits. OpenSea is like, wow, I have never seen anything like this. So it's kind of calculating these Silly Square Summertime, probably take at least a couple days for it to have the percentages like it does for these original Silly Squares Club, right? 4%, 3%. So yeah, we did it, I think. Good job, everybody. Anybody who wants some, I have 2,500 of these now to mint, so drop your public address somewhere and I'll send you some.